Hello and welcome. The cliff notes of this video is to let you know that there is a new beta patch available for you to go and play and test and see if you like and, give feedback on changes, some of which definitely need to be changed, some of which are looking pretty nice and like a decent upgrade. But yeah, it's out, so go test it out and try it out and all that. There's also an changelog, so we're going to have a look at that too and see what it is they've changed. I'm not going to read absolutely every line. That would be silly. But we're going to go over some of the interesting things. Traditional economy. It now allows you to have rural resource operations grow up to 33% larger and remove the minus 10% building construction efficiency penalty. This is now very, very good. And we're going to hop into, say, Bohemia to have a look at that. So it used to be making your buildings 10% more expensive. And now, was it traditionalists that we're talking about? No, it was, where is this again? I've lost it already. Traditional economy, there you are. Max RGO size in rural, actually kind of insane. Like, 33% is a really big buff. Also, all of these are positive modifiers. Basically, everywhere else you look, it's a couple or three positives and a negative. Bunch of positives and a negative. Bunch of positives and a negative. Bunch of positives and a negative. Every single way you look. This no longer has any negatives whatsoever. I suppose people were thinking that capital economy was just far too good. 20% production efficiency is quite good, actually. But also 20% building cost reduction, also, it adds up. It definitely does add up. So this is, I think, probably a pretty good change. I feel like I might take traditional economy a bit more now. I'm not sure if 33% is like the number we want to be aiming for, though. That seems a bit high. Reduce the penalty on estate satisfaction from individualism from 5 to 2.5. However, no one is taking individualism over communalism. I mean, individualism, it's fine, and I guess, in multiplayer the morale might help, but communalism is pop join, rebel threshold, revoke privilege cost, but mostly it is the estate satisfaction. This is basically an extra 2.5% more taxes, and that can be quite a big buff. I still feel like, especially early game, the revoke privilege cost is going to be key. Maybe after the early game, then I would consider going to individualism. But yeah, I don't know. It is. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where the balance ends up. Head election no longer stalls indefinitely. Good. Get that fixed. Junior union members can no longer get caught in a negotiate succession law. Opinion spiral. Good. Child union leader no longer renders an emperor union panel. Good. Reduce the estate satisfaction scaling from religious tolerance. Okay. Charismatic orator cabinet trait now correctly erodes noble estate satisfaction as its downside. The intended penalty was previously a no opposition, I think, making the trait a free bonus instead of a design trade-off. Okay. Market price discounts on multi-good build costs no longer stack past the minus 33% cap. Basically, there are so many cases where we've had the ability to get the price of buildings to go really quite low. We're now at an absolute maximum of 33% reduction. Okay, fair enough. I like cheap buildings, but I guess that this makes sense. Buildings and military units recruited in a market with several goods well below default price were getting a combined discount equal to the sum of each good's impact instead of the intended capped average. Fair enough. Auto expand is no longer silently throttled by the invisible AI's desire buffer heuristic. Only the player set automation gold slider now gates the spend. I'm never using automate buildings anyway, so who cares? Well, someone else cares probably. A local market balance tooltip now reflects soft wealth ramp instead of binary cutoff. Expired loans no longer drift into negative remaining interest when the we can repay a loan notification is suppressed. Rework the granary town urban right to reduce food decay via a minus 25% modifier instead of a flat minus 0.2%, matching the modifier type used by the granary building. So the bonus is comparable, scales with food stockpile, and reads a meaningful effect. Fixed economy discrepancy between what it says in your balance and what actually happens. I always thought that this was down to trade being different. Like, it would say, this is your expected balance, and then it goes to do trades, and because someone else is ahead of you in a trade order, whoever has the most advantage, then maybe you don't get the trades that you were expecting, and therefore there is a discrepancy. I always thought that was there. But who knows? Increased granary food storage. Huge. This might also help with pop growth. Obviously, granaries are something that everyone should be building in every single campaign they play. But now granaries are going to be a lovely... is it 500 food? Because we only have one. Hang on. Yeah, 500 food per. I'm pretty sure they were 100, but I can't remember. So, look. Increase is good. Increase is good. That works for me. Fixed road cost not having a breakdown tooltip, sure. Fixed heir who joined a rebel faction being flagged as a rebel. Fixed and accepted and tolerated cultures being permanently demoted when rebels temporarily owned every location of that culture during Civil War. Interesting. Didn't know that was a problem. Fixed victim country wasn't original target of war modifier applied to incorrect war participant. Annexation no longer stalls due to revolt wars in other subjects. Very nice indeed. Added messaging explaining why union partner leaves the union. That's going to be useful. Fixed subjects that share their overlord's rulers, such as state banks, being downgraded to regular vassal when the overlord enters a regency. Didn't know that was happening. That would have annoyed me a lot if it happened to me. Trust impact for invading countries to independence movement is no longer multiplied by 4 for whatever reason. Added AI behavior to diplomatic actions in the imperial circles. Fix an issue where the AI would refuse to use any of the diplomatic actions related to imperial circles. Okay. Fixed war decks and subject to now check truces with every overlord that gets auto-pulled into the war. Scaligari War Peace Treaty now correctly evaluates Milan's demands. A copy-paste error had them reading Florence's war variables instead. Okay. Embarked armies now suffer a lack of fluid attrition. Fuck. That's... yeah. Yeah, I'm more and more not liking food situations. It's I don't know. It's been a cope few weeks for me when it comes to armies and food. Hard mercs no longer stall forever when their spawn location is occupied. That's good to know. Rebel factions no longer seize in control colonial charters during a civil war. Thank frick for that. That's absolutely huge. Preventing charter failures and their associated prestige and gold penalties as collateral damage. Independence war goals now correctly target the subject's capital and display the subject's name in the Liberate Country label. It was broken before. Defeating nationalist or patriot rebels that had taken all your territory now correctly returns your country to its normal form, instead of leaving it permanently army-based. I didn't know that happened. That would be annoying. Province-based CBs no longer lost if a civil war starts. Patrol cities no longer leave port to chase a repair port outside their naval range. Alright. One thing I need this thing to do, though, is not lag like an absolute asshole. If you know enough territory, right? If you have, for example, in my Italy game, it lags like an absolute beast because I know so much of the coastline. At least that's what I expect it is. It is horrifically laggy and certainly needs some level of fixing because it's not good. Delisting Merc Navy carrying troops no longer drowns the embarked armies. The Merc pool is populated now at game start. It was not before. You needed a month tick. So now it's populated with altogether probably far too many Mercs. Yeah, too many, I honestly think. Ports with negative natural harbour suitability no longer drain maritime presence. I didn't know that was happening. I also didn't know there was anything with a negative natural harbour suitability. Extraterritorial countries can no longer lead an HRE imperial circle. Conquistadors now spawn with supply units so they don't instantly starve. There's some cabinet trait rebalances. Rework the cabinet trait pool with mixed modifiers, weighted rolls, and yearly decay, so bad traits become a trade-off rather than a swap-out signal. Good. Here is the big one, though. Here is the big one that I've been basically... This is the only reason I made the video. Serfdom's raw material bonus to plus 20%, which, you know, that you get a lot more raw materials, and replaced its fort maintenance discount with a 50% reduction to all buildings' upkeep costs. What the hell? That is insane. That is insane. Alright, I know I'm on the beta, and I don't have my mods, right? But I want to try and load the multiplayer anyway. And I'm just going to click around if this loads. If it doesn't and it crashes, then don't worry about it. I'm just going to click around various countries and show you the various players and what their values are, so that we can see what the general meta for the values are. And I know you've probably seen a video where there's like, this is the meta between different values and such, but I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not agreeing with it. I think they buffed the wrong side, in all honesty, because serfdom versus free subjects is the one we're talking about, and I'm loading an old save on a new patch. It's probably not going to go so well. Oh, it did in fact work though. This is my lovely Italy. Let's have a look at my values. I've gone... Actually, I went free subjects. I thought I'd gone serfdom. I'm not going to lie. I went free subjects. But I'm probably going to swap next time I next time I play, because I think this is better. Why the hell did I go free subjects? Okay, this is silly. What we're going to do is change the game rules to allow country changing and flip around, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have gone... You haven't either. For fuck's sake, this is going well. Okay, we've gone 3 different countries and none of them have gone serfdom. Ah, finally, a serfdom. Austria has gone serfdom. Poland is probably the best player in our lobby. He's gone serfdom. Ottomans is incredibly strong. He has gone serfdom. Hess is a very good player. He went free subjects. Interesting. We've got Britannic Empire, went free subjects. Carthage is a pretty good player, went full serfdom. Alright, I guess it's about an even split. It's about an even split. I honestly thought I'd gone serfdom. I wonder why I didn't. Especially when I was complaining about iron shortages the whole damn time. Either way, I think they buffed the wrong side, because a lot of people, I think, go serfdom because they want the noble satisfaction equilibrium and lowering the enfranchisement of the peasants, because right now the current meta is to tax your nobles incredibly hard. France is able to do it better than most as well. I've seen a lot of people... Actually, did Poland do it in this campaign? I know he did earlier, but maybe he hasn't anymore. No, he's actually doing it now. He taxes the nobles at the absolute maximum that he can, which is... This is insane numbers. Like, so much income. And then has the commoners at the minimum possible tax that he can. I mean, he's not even doing it manually. He's getting the taxes down to 7% when he could be doing, you know, quite a bit more, because the bonus for your pops being happy, for your commoners being happy, is so very, very good. You get more food production. More food production means you can grow your pops faster. Whereas, and also the your nobles have the better demands, right? The goods demands that these guys have, the things that they spend their money on, their expenses, are obviously not being shown quite well enough because, you know, I've updated and it's not showing properly. But these guys have really good demands. They're demanding very expensive goods, whereas these silly little peasant people are demanding very, very cheap goods. So if you build an economy around your nobles and the burghers with which to, make the goods that the nobles require, you can make an absolute killing while keeping your commoners happy, and the commoners are still the vast majority of the pops in your country. So more of your pops are happy, big happy days, everything's going to go well. That's basically the gist of the noble meta, and serfdom very much feeds into that. Now serfdom is getting building upkeep efficiency, and I mean let's switch back to myself. My building maintenance is 2,000. If you half this, if I go full serfdom and you half this, that's increasing my income by 25%. That's a huge, huge boost to my income. That's a huge boost. The only thing that I spend more on is my army, almost my navy, but this is a silly amount of money. I should not be spending this much on my navy. This is kind of crazy. The biggest expense is being cut in half, and I'm not sure if that is really. I don't think it should stay at 50. 25, we can make do with 25 or 33. We can have discussions about that, but 50 seems like an overreaction. Fault zone of control shelter from local attrition now extends to direct subjects and overlords. Didn't know this was a thing. So if you stay within your fort zone of control, your armies won't get attrition from being in like the cold. I didn't know that was a thing. That's kind of cool. I like that. Changed merc availability to draw from population with per arm scaling, and pruned dead members from the dynasty available members cache. Cool, good stuff. Some dynastic names were restored to the Habsburgs, von Wittelsbach, and Hohenzollern dynasties. Expanded the name list from male and female names used by Kantakoukanos, Komnenos, and Palaiologos dynasties, obviously the Byzantines. Changed the leader rewards for Guelphs and Ghibellines in case they win the situation to 200 years instead of 30, and added a modifier tracking how much longer the reward is available. Very nice. Being made a member of the Guelphs, made being member of the Guelphs a negative factor in imperial elections, so AI countries now consider it a reason against selecting them. Okay. A bunch of Italian wars fixes, including countries can no longer rejoin a war if I intervene in war, which is like kind of a huge thing. Fix an exploit allowing infinite diplomatic reputation stacking by repeatedly choosing get emergency supplies in the merc attrition events. Okay, didn't know that was a thing. Bunch of more fixes. I don't see anything jumping out as absolutely insanely, insane. So cool. Some new AI stuff. AI now caps parallel colonial charters by country rank. Portugal no longer rivals England at GameStart. Very nice. Fixing issue where the AI could get stuck in a loop of closing and reopening buildings. Just made the AI generally better, which everyone can be happy about. Some interface changes as well. Probably some bug fixes and such in there. Stop generating city graphics early when they have no preview mesh. Okay, maybe that'll help with some performance. And dismissing or delisting a merc from the higher merc panel no longer drowns embarked armies. We already read that above. What I will say is, if you control F and search for Brandenburg, you get nothing. Even when you spell it correctly. There's nothing for Brandenburg. Which is unfortunate, because that is something that is still broken. If we show only dev responses, I think there are some other things that are interesting to have a little gander at. Yeah, somebody looking at the serfdom thing. It is incredibly ridiculously one-sided. I do agree. They're currently testing the impact of the change. Most likely not hold to the 1.3 release on the main branch. Okay, fair enough, but still... Is it necessary to test like 50% harder than what is like reasonable? Why not start with the reasonable bit and then test that one? That makes more sense to me. Are these open betas, updates, save game compatible? Basically, I would not recommend going from 1.2 to 1.3 at all, but I think anything within 1.3 is probably fine. And there is a PSA that, oh yeah, this thing is another huge thing that we should talk about. Manpower buildings. That was... So, I feel like I'm responsible for this one a little bit, because I made a thread, and also posted in the Discord with the devs, after the war that I had as Italy with the Ottomans. Actually, it's this war here. I loaded the wrong save. This war here, with everyone starving. I posted about this on Reddit, and I posted about it in the Discord, and it got a bit of discussion. And a lot of the discussion was, unfortunately, not where I wanted it to be, which was about logistics and situations like that, and these supply depots being completely useless. Like, there are 2,000 here. In the game where we played it, they were 100, so completely ass. But the general consensus was no country should be raising this amount of troops in 1629. A lot of people didn't realize, for some reason, that it was, 5 countries, 6 countries together combining to reach this number. And people saying, oh, well, yeah, Italy shouldn't be raising 1 million men. Well, they fucking... Italy didn't. Italy did not raise 1 million men. Italy has raised, like, 380,000. Of which not all of them are taking part either. Let's be real. I only had 4 stacks here. But essentially, people were arguing that manpower, way too high. Army sizes, way too high. And therefore, everything got kind of pinned back a lot. By, down to a third of what it was before, is what was going to happen. Obviously, it clearly hasn't happened yet. These barracks, let me just go down to 1 so it's easier to see. Right now they give 15. I guess they're going to go and give 5 for a barracks, which is, I feel, kind of crazy small. But it will reduce the size of armies significantly, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Although, again, it's not in this patch yet. Don't know why. It seems like a pretty easy number to change. Though I will say, as long as when you're making this change, you also change the biggest culprit and the one that is the worst of this, which is the Janissary barracks. Which give 25 manpower per, and are used by slave pops instead of soldier pops, which are much easier to acquire, if you're the Ottomans at least. Christians find it very much of a struggle to get slaves. Muslims do not find it an issue to get slaves. But anyway, hopefully the Janissary barracks will also be nerfed if this barracks nerf is going to go through. But that won't be until probably the next patch. But anyway, for this patch, okay. I mean, there are things in here that I think are necessary. There are things in here that I think are not necessary, and things in here that I think might not be very balanced at all, but we will see. They also came out with they analyzed the feedback from player feedback for the institutions, and there's a couple of points. Promote institutions should be changed to something that improves the speed of the spread of institution in the country, rather than just giving a flat bonus, in the province where you do it. Could have spawns. This is if you had fulfilled all of the requirements to spawn an institution, you get a little bit of institution growth in that location. I quite like that. But that should be a game rule and it's default off. I don't understand the people who want this, but whatever. I feel like the only way I can understand this is if they're looking at, oh, China could have spawned this, therefore it's now growing in China, which means that China keeps up with Europe, and then it leads to a very awful game if you're playing in Europe. maybe that's where they're looking at things. But, you know, just have a game rule where stuff only spawns in Europe. That makes sense to me. Trade range distance for institution spread needs to hard look separately, and then revides spawn rules for some institutions, in particular confessionalism. Other issues that were raised: there is no free filler trees in age 3 to 6 like there is in age 2, which made it more tolerable. I agree. If we can have filler trees, which is basically, I get into a new age. This might break. No, it didn't. I get into a new age, and instead of having to get the institution for military revolution, for scientific revolution, and for manufactories, there is another free thing that you can just take immediately, like you have in the Age of Renaissance. All right. I think it's under scholarly treaties, right? As soon as you get into the Age of Renaissance, you can start doing all of this stuff, which it feels good. It feels good to get new techs. Hopefully that's going to be a thing that happens. That would be really nice. Research speed differentials need to be more meaningful, and the AI relies too heavily on levies. I agree. I heavily agree. Where we disagree is the solution to this. Maybe those techs should be in the free trees. God damn it. AI shouldn't really be using levies after, like, age 2. Like, as soon as you get into age 3, raising levies is suicide. So the AI just shouldn't do it. Again, I'll go back to this multiplayer campaign. Not a single one of these countries that are being played have raised a single levy in like 300 years. Which would be before the start of the game. In 200 years, the last time any of these countries raised levies in anger. I tell a lie, because these guys here are levies, but that's because they were trying to de-siege something that I'd sieged. But that's a different thing. Raising levies in order to have, like, direct conflict and fights is just something that no one has done. And the AI still does it. So when you are playing against the AI, you use your crack, regular, heavy, awesome troops of absolute badassery, and you commit unholy genocide upon the enemy. Because all they're using is what the game seems to want to pretend is unwashed peasants. And I know there are techs, there are techs in here that will make your levies much better, and I don't know where to find them because I've never taken them. But there are techs in here somewhere that will change your levies into being not absolutely terrible. Actually, it's right here, Flintlock Levy. The Ottomans have taken it. I don't know why they did. But this will upgrade your levies into being slightly better. It'll level them up to the current age. If this was in the free area, I actually probably would take it. Because right now in multiplayer, whoever gets the military institution first can rush down to their Janissary barracks, Janissary blah blahs. They can rush down to their new tech units, which is a huge buff. But if there are some free levy upgrades, the free levies might actually be better than the previous era's regulars. Who knows? Anyway, I'm ranting. I'm going to end this video now. I think we've probably got 1 or 2 sessions of this campaign left. We play on Saturdays over on twitch.tv/LordLambert_ if you want to check that out. It's kind of cool. If not, that's fine. The VOD channel is there, and they all get posted there, so whatever. Anyway, thanks all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.